What? You saw the thumbnail. It's a weird gig app, okay? Making money. Yeah, this weird gig app says you can make $5,000 a month. Yes, up to $6,000 a month with this side hustle. And you may think it's just that, what I just showed you, but they have some new options here. What is this thing? This is Swimply. As the name implies, yes, you can get paid to rent out your pool or a hot tub, but I mean, I don't have a hot tub in this apartment. I certainly don't have my own pool. And frankly, most people, at least the ones that I asked, our team members here, don't have a hot tub or a pool. Well, that's okay, because I think Swimply, I'm gonna detail everything in this video, kind of also realized they're limiting their clientele, so they've expanded. Earn $5,000 a month hosting happiness in your community with a pool. What about $5,000 a month hosting tennis in your community? I think that might be even less of who owns a tennis court, or it can be also now a sports court. Okay, sports court, right. Earn $5,000 a month. Okay, also pickleball. It's hot right now. Sports court, I get it. Or up to $6,000 a month sharing your home with neighbors. And immediately that got me thinking, it's probably gonna get you thinking, well, isn't that just Airbnb, Vrbo, and some of those side hustles? Let's discuss not only renting all of these different things and spaces, because there's competitors, but how do you qualify? What's the pay? What's the service fee, if any, commissions, pros and cons, and ultimately a verdict. If, by the way, this is the first time you and I are meeting, my name is Mike. All I do here is help you make money in different side hustles. And I've ranked Airbnb and Vrbo in our side hustle rankings guide. It's updated for 2025. You can get a free copy at the link below. So here's quote unquote all you need to start making semi-passive income just by hosting something. So what can you host on Swimply? Sure, Swimply, I can host a pool. Pools, hot tubs, cold plunges, also actually a good opportunity there. Honestly, I think that's still hot right now, although it's a cold plunge, pun intended, and more for swimming. Home spaces, list indoor and outdoor spaces or the entire home. We got competitors like Airbnb, Vrbo. I'm sure there's a lot of others. I haven't done those. There's also peer space, renting out a space, but it's kind of related to something else here. Sports courts, tennis courts, pickleball, and basketball courts, something else. And this is kind of what peer space does, like other things like hosting spaces, like music studios, not yachts. Peer space doesn't do that, but you can rent yachts on Swimply and everything in between. Other qualifications, basically just be 18 years of age or older, and let's start listing your space. First, I'm choosing a space, listing it. Then I'm describing a space, listing amenities, hours, any rules, restroom access, let's say if it's a pool, stuff like that. Next, you set the number of guests. Here you can set the maximum number of guests you will allow at your space. The following is how Swimply categorizes group sizes. Then we add some photos, showcase your listing with rad photos. Our top hosts have approximately 10 photos, and you can start with just one, maximum of 50. I will say, while I haven't hosted a property, I've sold items on OfferUp, and I think Facebook Marketplace, and I will tell you, have more than one picture. Ideally, you don't have to use a professional camera like this. Just wipe out the screen and take good pictures that encompass some surroundings. They can see the amenities, get different angles. So now we have our listing ready to go. Let's get into pricing here, because that's the whole thing. Like, do I want to give up my swimming pool for the afternoon or the day, my whatever you're going to rent, garage, home, tennis court? If you have a tennis court, are you going to be renting out your tennis court? Here is the default pricing structure of what you could earn as a Swimply host. Set pricing, pricing will default to this tiered measure, meaning you can set the price specific to the group size as shown below. So Swimply says this is easier for people to calculate based on their group size. Instead of having to do the math behind, okay, we have 5 people and it's X amount of dollars per person, we can say we can bring up to 5 guests for $25 an hour, 6 to 10, etc. And just like most any recommended pricing on a set your own price model like Toro, Rover, Care, TaskRabbit, anything like that, where you can set your own pricing. Always, look at comps like competitors and see what's actually being booked and don't be the lowest. Now, if you don't want that, the tiered pricing based on groups and pay per hour, you can do a per guest pricing. Per guest pricing allows you to set a base hourly rate that is then charged up to a fixed number of guests, set an additional guest hourly fee that is charged for each additional guest. So here you can see I'm charging $30 per hour per guest, and then in this example it's up to 10 guests, and any additional guest is an additional $5 per hour. And that does seem quite high, I guess. I mean, it's gonna be up to you. $30 an hour per person, or you would do in that prior example 1 to 5 people. I mean, that example said $25 an hour, but they'd be able to obviously bring more people on that tiered pricing. Anyway, speaking of that tiered pricing structure is the recommended pricing structure for most hosts. So let's just get more detail on this. Hosts on tiered pricing typically earn 10 to 15% more than hosts on per guest pricing. What about the commission, of course, for all of this? Is it going to be worth it? Now, there is a service fee, of course, on all bookings here. The Swimply service fee is calculated based on multiple factors, including, but not limited to, location, regulatory laws, booking details, other risk factors. It's not one set service fee. That's the thing. It is a variable service fee, but Swimply does say you'll see that both before and after accepting a booking. And in their terms of service regarding payout, they say your payout for a booking will equal the total price, all in, everything you charge, any add-ons if there's add-ons, minus those service fees and applicable taxes. Okay, but I guess, at least for now on the macro, let's go over the pros and cons of Swimply, because frankly, in 2025, there's other competitors. If you have a house, pool, other space, there is the Airbnb, the Vrbo, the Peerspace. Now, firstly, we'll start with cons that you're probably thinking is liability and risk. So I'm gonna have someone, it's like the Uber of hosting your home, the Uber of this, the Uber of that. I'm having strangers, not on rideshare, but now in or near my home, knowing my hosting name. I don't know if you could change that, but they're gonna know your address. They're there. So there's that. There's a liability of hosting the people, even if you're not gonna be home, right? You're allowed to be home or non-home if you want. There's risks of damage, of course, of just neighbor complaints, noise violations, etc. There's, of course, the heavy and arguably maybe increasing regulations. You got to look into local regulations. You got to look into possibly zoning if your specific, municipality or even city allows this kind of short-term rentals. A pro would be, it's semi-passive, that I could even be home if I wanted, or just, out of the home if I want. If it is just the pool, the hot tub, I'll ask you, how many times are you using your hot tub, your pool? I don't know if you have a pickleball court, let me know. But you're not using it literally every single day. You could cash flow it. Obviously, there's operational costs, cleaning and sanitizing. You're setting your own price, and I do feel like you might get good clientele, just like any hosting website. Here in Pittsburgh, I don't think a ton of people have pools because our weather here in Pittsburgh, but when it's nice and sunny and hot here in Pittsburgh, people are looking for pools. So in this marketplace, and think about your marketplace, and it doesn't obviously have to just be pools here, I think there might be an opportunity. Lastly, let's talk about the business strategy here, and it's really the fundamentals that I teach you in most any single gig app. So If you got this far in the video, just consider dropping a like on it and subscribing. All I do is help you make money in different side hustles. I teach you to multi-app across different platforms. It's driving or working on different platforms at the same time, so you can field offers, from different ones at the same time and select the highest paying one for you. So it's kind of the same thing here. I'd want you to multi-app, multi-platform these ones as well. If you're able to, and you're an independent contractor, is hosting on Airbnb, Vrbo, Swimply, Peerspaces, if this is something you're interested in. But you're gonna need a good amount of upkeep. You might want like customer specific stuff like towels, linens, and stuff like that. There's gonna probably have to be at least the same level of customer service as other gig apps, arguably more, especially while they're booking and arriving to the property. Taking care of the customer, especially because you're hosting here, that whole hospitality thing, and just a wider range of problems that might happen versus ride share. Sure, there's some stuff, delivery, there's some smaller problems, but if we're talking the gig economy or different platform or app-based side hustles, hosting a private property, especially, you would think your largest asset and the risks associated, changing regulations, that's going to be up to you. So let me know if you think this is worth it to make $5,000 or $6,000. That's their estimates, approximately whatever per month.